So preparing to live stream.
Go live.
I think it's live. Can you see it up in the top left? It says live.
Oh, live, streaming live on YouTube. Oof.
How cool is that?
Really cool. Really cool. Yeah, Leo, and he's probably the one with all the answers.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, right,
Well,
Unplanned with Phil
right.
Bland.
Okay. Oh shit, let me just turn this preparing down. To live stream. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna try and do like looking at the camera. So try looking at the camera rather than looking at me.
Which is hard on Zoom. I have yet to meet someone who doesn't look at themselves.
Oh, so are you looking at yourself?
No, I'm looking at you because...
Do you know that thing that you can do on WhatsApp or on FaceTime where you click the bottom thing? Do you make your face big or do you make the other person big?
So I've got it on speaker view right now, but if I put it on gallery view, then we're both right beside each other, which is probably a wee bit more off-putting. I think I'll put speaker view on because then I'm smaller.
Yeah, and plus if I've got it, so because I'm the one live streaming, when I start speaking, then I pop up. Anyway, cool. So how are you coping with lockdown, Lucy?
Fine. I mean, up and down as everyone is. I can't complain. I cannot complain from my garden, you know,
beautiful
7-bedroom house. Yeah.
Very lucky living in Glasgow. Lots of parks.
I mean, the weather has been an absolute bonus, and
I know.
You know, that's brightened my spirits. But yeah, I woke up this morning and I felt a bit emotional for no reason. So I think everyone's kind of feeling like that. And yeah, just starting.
I think it's the longer that it goes on.
Yeah.
It's sort of a bit draining.
Great on you. I think also it is sobering, the news, and there isn't much good news.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we've got a bit of a ritual of getting the 6 p.m. news update from the BBC, and I've had to kind of
switch off.
But I am so aware of what's going on, but it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah.
But honestly, Phil, you know me, I stay at home quite a lot anyway. So it's not as if I feel like you're more of a social butterfly.
Yeah. Struggle.
Yeah. So for you,
I feel tied down.
Yeah. And also I feel like I have had a lot of prep for this, but there's one thing doing it when, you know, it's your own decision, and then when you're enforced and because people are dying. So it's not ideal, but hey.
Two things. I guess I should probably introduce to anyone that ever watches this. This is Lucy Maxwell on episode 4 of Unplanned with Phil Bland, and Lucy and I have been like old best friends for years and years and years, and she's one of the funniest people that I know. So I thought she'd be a great guest to have on the show, and that we'd have some cool conversations. And also, kind of selfishly, I thought it would be cool for us to like just have something funny to look back on when we're 80 years old laughing about this.
That is a great idea. I was going to swear, but I was swearing aloud.
Yeah, go for it.
No, let's keep it PG, because if we can also see it, Joe Maxwell, my mum, can see it and she hates a swear word, but you know I'm swearing. But that's such a good idea.
Well, I mean, your kids will be able to do this.
Who?
Your kids will be able to see, oh, look what mum was thinking during quarantine.
Yeah, this is a really good idea for that.
You know,
because I actually I started journaling the first 2 days, and then I got so bored and it didn't work. And then really funnily, my sister, so my first journal, both journals relate to Katie being blunt, and she read it. So probably the worst thing that could happen with a diary. So I'm not going to do that anymore. let's just do these, and that's such a great idea.
I know, like the time that I think I wrote a diary when I was like a wee boy, and I think I had sex for the first time, and my mum found it.
Do you still have it?
By the way, by wee boy I mean like late teens, but still like
not younger. Legal.
But, yeah, no, they found it and then they grounded me.
What, your parents?
Yeah, I actually got I can't believe I've not told you this story already.
Oh.
So like they went away on holiday. Why am I telling this story? oh well, screw it. Yeah, they went away on holiday, and then I think like I'd been talking to some girl, and then she came over, and yeah, like we had sex. I think it was the first time I'd ever had sex, and my mum and dad found my diary, read it, and then grounded me. And I had a job at the time, like handing out flyers for a nightclub, and but you know, trash unders.
Yeah.
And I was like walking up and down the main street in Glasgow, Buchanan Street, and I was walking up and down, and then I had to phone my boss and be like, "Hey, listen, I'm actually grounded." and then some of the other guys found out why, and to this day, even when I bump into any of them, they're like, "Hey, how's that diary going? How's that journal?"
I think that's really sweet. And you know what? You probably wouldn't remember it, you know, as sweetly unless you had that diary excerpt.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think it's a great idea. I would love to read it.
No.
Long gone.
No. Yeah, no.
Pardon.
I think it's somewhere, but I don't know.
Probably a in your wee drawer. Yeah. You know exactly where it is. I'll find it, Phil.
Yeah,
Anyway. But yeah, how are you finding it? You've just moved somewhere new.
Yeah. I think
this is your new gaff for now.
This is the new gaff for now, and just starting up this podcast because I was thinking, you know, might as well use the time to like share stories and like talk to people and stuff. I think everyone does. Like, this is a kind of interesting thing that I was talking to other people on some of the other episodes or the other shows. I'm not sure what I'm going to call it. Shows, who knows?
Episodes.
Yeah, but like, it's funny how people like change what they're doing. Like one girl I was talking to, I mentioned the episode I did with that girl Hannah Powers, and she was like doing one kind of like strategy for her business, and then she just completely changed everything because like, you know, events have meant that certain aspects of business were like not working. So now she's just gone for like a pure building her website out and making online courses and stuff. And that's kind of the thing that she wanted to do all along anyway. But it's like this type of event comes along and it kind of forces you to do the thing. So I've been talking to you about doing this for such a long time. And then it's only when like events come along.
Yeah, it's catapulting us into this new era.
I thought I would have needed to do this show, or like as a sort of like most of the podcasts or YouTube channels that were doing these types of things were like, you know, well produced, had cameras, people were in person, they had a producer that was switching between cameras and stuff. But now nobody can do that. Now you see everybody's doing Zoom calls on the news.
Yeah, Zoom calls, and also people are doing podcasts. Like, I think it's made everyone realize that we can do so much more with tech. But also I just listened to a podcast I like, Fern Cotton's Happy Place, and it sounds like she's in a studio because she's got a duvet over her head. Like, we can make do with this situation.
Really? So I got under the duvet.
Everyone's making a podcast.
Yeah.
Unplanned with Phil Bland.
Unplanned with Phil Bland.
Which is a good name.
Do you think so? Yeah.
Well,
that means a lot to me.
It could have been something negative, but I like the positivity.
And it's kind of unplanned is kind of like people want certainty around things. I kind of like how it's unplanned because I don't have a clue what we're about to talk about like right now, which is
as is the case when we talk.
Yeah, but also I kind of like the fact that it's unplanned because like this whole scenario has made me realize that you can't plan anything. Like,
100%.
Like you can't plan the next 5 years because like all of a sudden you're furloughed or
Yeah.
your business has gone down the drain or you need to
Yeah.
take a different direction or
Yeah.
whatever. So
I
yeah.
think it's, I love that kind of, the talk of the psychology behind it, and what it's done is made us so aware of how vulnerable we are,
Mm,
which is the truth every day. But we manage to layer up so many things on it that mask that vulnerability. And
yeah,
we keep
totally.
ourselves so busy because we are escaping that ultimate truth.
Mm,
But now we're forced to sit with it and forced to really stare it in the face that, you really can't take any day for granted, let alone plan for 10 years.
yeah,
And for me, it's made me realize that actually you can just take risks. You can do this podcast, whatever, what's the worst that could
absolutely.
happen?
Yeah.
It's like, whilst you're living, you've got to make the most out of what you've got. So it's good that you're doing this.
Yeah, and also it's kind of like um the we think that you can plan because you think like the world is controlled or like you have certain like control over events, but then something wild comes along like 9/11 or
Mhm.
this event or financial crash, and then it's like, well, I didn't see that coming, and then it
Yeah.
makes you have to just completely rethink everything that
Yeah.
you were thinking of doing. And it kind of, but it's almost like kind of invigorating to just be like, wow, I don't have control. Like I'm just
Yeah.
going to accept that. Like I'm going to accept that, I can do what I can with the current circumstances and just like events of today,
Yeah.
and just, but I can't like plan like in advance because
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to come along.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's
It's
nice.
quite amazing. I like it. I mean, I like the opportunity to slow down and sit with that rather than, I mean, even it's not as if I do this all the time, because this morning I was even thinking about what I could do with the time when we're out of lockdown and all of this. And I have to remind myself that actually the only thing that matters is the here and now, not
Mm,
even the past. Like, that's
mm,
done.
mm,
The future is like, you and I have no idea. We have no
mm.
idea to the most basic scale of even being alive. Is, you know what I mean? Is morbid as that sounds, it's true. So what's the point? So you really need to throw everything into the current moment. And I'm
Yeah.
really enjoying that learning, to be
Have you
honest.
ever have you ever read the Eckhart Tolle book?
Love
Power of
Eckhart
Now?
Tolle.
Me too, me too.
Love
And
him.
even like tomorrow is going to be now.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
so you're only ever going to be living in the now.
Yeah.
And so any time that you spend thinking about planning for tomorrow is like, well, tomorrow's going to be now as well, so I might as well just make the most of now.
Yeah,
And then
totally.
tomorrow
Totally.
do the exact
Deal
same
with
thing.
that. Yeah. I love him. I love everything he says. When my neighbor actually first sent me clips of him, and I was like, I thought it was a joke because he was pausing so much. And then he just opened his mouth and it was just utter wisdom, and I'm hooked on every word that he says. But he actually released a really good YouTube clip, or I don't know if it's via his kind of platform, but it's him talking about lockdown.
Mm.
And it's really interesting. You should watch it. I can't quote it because I don't remember. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm liking a lot of
There's a lot of stuff
quotes.
coming out at the moment because there's a lot of things that I was kind of reading and thinking about, but because we were in kind of normal times, you don't really like associate with them. But then as soon as like some event like this comes along, a lot of the books are like I also watched, like Yuval Noah Harari with he wrote the book Sapiens.
Okay.
And the way that like our vulnerabilities as a species kind of come like we think it's again some of the same themes, but people kind of gravitate towards these like thinkers
Mhm.
that at times of crisis because they want to have some sort of framework to try and
Yeah.
understand this new world that we're living in
Yeah, totally.
within. And some of the content that they're putting out has been awesome. So
They become relevant, and that's what it is. So we're all talking about Eckhart Tolle now.
yeah.
I mean, it's like, it's blanket.
I also find like I find a lot of people are like, some people are like, do you not think when people complain about stuff, usually they're not complaining about the present moment, and some people are kind of past complainers, and some people are like dwellers on the past, and then some people are worriers about the future. And you almost have like, and like you almost have like more of a propensity to worry, like
about
when a
past or the future.
yeah, some people are like, oh, like they dwell on things that have happened, and then other people, their main problem is kind of worrying, oh, where am I going to be, or how am I going to turn out, and things like that.
Yeah, I actually think, honestly, if to throw an idea out, it would be like 90% of us worry about past or future. And then 10% or smaller actually manage to live in the moment. I think it's such a skill to not dwell on the past or the future. And I've never been one to actually, I've always known I should try meditation. I was like, oh, I'll do it. And I always put it off. But every day without fail, I do
Have
it.
you been doing it?
Yeah, with Jay Shetty. I really like his
Oh,
meditation 5:30, because actually it's easier. I find that I'm starting out it's easier when someone else is talking you through it. To do it on your own requires you to really flex that bit of your brain that is not used to it. Anyway, I do think that I now understand, I'm closing the loop on how important it is. It's important because it's genuinely the only time that I live in the moment, in the day. The whole other 23 and a half hours, I am either worrying about something that happened yesterday or way before, and the stuff that has come up in my head as a worry has been stuff that was years before. Because I'm in a place where I have to sit with it. So it's like all of it's coming up, and then that also makes me worry about the future. So I'm probably in the camp of worrying about both. And I'm trying very much to just stay in the moment, because ultimately, I mean, my dad always says worry about it when it happens. My dad is used to us worrying about future or past, which is a great kind of life motto to live by. But I actually think that it's very hard to do that, and to be able to do it is a genuine skill. So I have utter admiration for people who can live in the present. And I like being shut down on it.
And also you can't like judge yourself when you're worrying about something, but just kind of like let it, like a lot of people, like it's a spiral that you like worry, and then you judge yourself, and then you worry about judging yourself, and then you can get into this loop. And it's like almost a lot of being mindful is just accepting that worries come and go, and then just like experiencing them. I quite liked I quite liked something, it was in the Untethered Soul, and it was like, you are not your thoughts, and you are not your emotions, but you are your like awareness of them.
Yes, it's all about awareness. Do you know Mo, is it Mo Gaudat? Well, he's great, and he's wrote a book called Solve for Happy, and he's talked on many podcasts as well. Anyway, he's a previous exec of Google, and he talks about how when he was the most well off one could ever be, and he had achieved a lot of success on paper and had a beautiful family. She always does that.
Was that Katie?
Katie, always. And she always mouths something to me. It's normally telling me off. I don't ever know what it is. Anyway, he completely talks about this. He completely talks about how, you know, the saying, I think, therefore I am. It's not true. We don't say my heart beats, therefore I am, or I pee, therefore I am, or I sweat, therefore I am. It's like, we are not just our thoughts. In fact, we are not our thoughts. Our brain is doing that without control over us. It's a third party almost.
I always kind of compare it to like, you know, you could say like I'm not this cup of coffee that's in front of me, because it's an object and I'm a subject, I'm experiencing it. So in the same way, like I am not my body. Like this is my arm, in the same way like that's my cup, and I'm experiencing it in the same way it's external to me. And then you could extend that further to like, I'm not my thoughts because I'm thinking about something, so it's the object. And then like, I feel angry, that the anger is the object, like who am I? And ultimately it just comes back to like this deep sense of self, where you can just sit back and like watch these things. But it's when people like, it's when people associate themselves with like, or identify with like, I think that that's quite often sometimes like a value system thing, where people often think that they are their nice, you know, expensive watch. So like, if they're the object and they identify it with it, then it gives them a sense of self or value by buying something expensive. That's probably why people buy expensive clothes or whatever.
It's status.
But a lot of that stuff is external, and a lot of the time people like feel like they are their emotions. And they get like, they almost like, the ego makes them feel like, if you know, if they feel angry or if they feel happy, then you know, they can identify with it, so they can sort of wallow, say people like wallow in their grief quite often. Then they can like, if you're wallowing in grief, then it can almost make you feel good sometimes, because you're the most important. Like, my problems are so much worse than everybody else's.
Of course.
So like, that's all driven by the ego. Whereas you can almost, if you like extract yourself from the ego and like pull back and just be aware of those emotions rather than like identifying with them, then that's a much more powerful position. It's kind of like watching like leaves float by on a river. You see them coming, and then they flow by, you accept them, and then they pass.
You just watch it. But it's so easy to say that, isn't it?
So hard to do. So hard to do.
I mean, I can be in an absolute cycle of self-loathing if I want to get there, but taking yourself out. And what's funny about being in that cycle, that really negative cycle, essentially, from listening too much to what your brain is telling you, or you know, replaying, is that doesn't matter to anyone else. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're creating your own pain for no reason. It doesn't affect anyone else. Like, you would not know if I was sitting in my room replaying and going into the past and, you know, licking that bit of honey from the honey pot. You wouldn't be affected by it, but I'd be completely, you know, that would engulf my day. But it's pointless and a waste of time because it doesn't affect anyone else. And also, it's like, what I'm worried about, and maybe it's, you know, connected to people and memory, like, they're going about their days not even thinking about it. So it truly is a waste of time, that I think.
I've got a kind of like pithy, I can't remember where I heard this, but it's so true, that like, especially bitterness and resentment towards people, like, you know, happy feelings and like positive like memories about people, I think, well, you know, it's like, it's great to have that anyway. The other person isn't experiencing it, but if it's reinforcing those positive messages in your head, but like reinforcing like negative bitterness towards somebody, and like you say, it doesn't affect them, it's kind of like, it's like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die.
I've heard that one too. It only you're the one who's worse off. Like, it doesn't do anything. 100%. So it's not about not having the emotions, because I think being in touch with how you feel is healthy, but it's about not dwelling on it. And, you know, there's pain, and then there's like unnecessary suffering. And if you can just localize it and realize, there is that pain, it doesn't detract it, but you have to learn and grow from it. You can't keep staying in that place of suffering. Then I think that's the key. But I will listen to more Eckhart Tolle. I'll read more books written by Mo Gauda, and I think I will get there. But it's quite hard. I mean, I found it really interesting how quarantine lockdown has challenged that for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm a busy, although I like staying at home, I'm a very busy person. I
Mm-hmm.
usually have lots of things. If something bothers me, or if I see something on social media that is upsetting or whatever, I can go meet friends. I can, meet you, whatever. You can talk out. I seek that comfort from so many people, but this is forcing me to handle it myself,
Yeah.
not bring it to anyone else, and
Mm-hmm.
just handle it. And that has been major growth. And when I can do it, I will feel
kind of take your own counsel in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like there's something I also kind of think about it quite often about these self-reinforcing things. Like if you're angry about something, you need to kind of get it out and speak to people about it. But like where's the line between that being a cathartic thing that's helping you versus a thing which is reinforcing those negative feelings that you've already got?
Totally.
And like, how do you draw that boundary, and how do you like also be empathetic enough to the person who's listening to you, that you're not just burdening them with your negativity that they will then subsequently pass on, because it's like this flow of energy. And if the person that's trying to help you get through that struggle takes too much on board, then it's going to manifest itself in some way in their behavior.
Exactly.
And how do you break that cycle, both internally, the loop, but also between people?
It's another loop externally, that if you are feeling rubbish and you need to offload, you can talk about it to a friend, and lots of the time a friend can shoulder it. But if you do it too much, and if you go to that bank too often to withdraw, there's going to be nothing left, and they're going to feel negative, and they'll pass it on. And so you do really need to try and learn to just cut it at the source, because it's like, I mean, we're seeing all this, the rate of infection.
Yeah, it's like it's similar. It's kind of pandemic as well.
Yeah. It's like, me as one person will tell 3 people, they'll tell 3 people how annoyed they are by that as well, or how it made them feel, because negativity surfaces more negativity.
Do you know a bird just pooed on the window right in front
at the same time of Leo farting? That is beautiful. I was like, thank God you can't smell through Zoom. Honestly, sometimes when I feel stressed, you just gotta look at how chilled he is. Like, live more like a dog. But honestly, before I knew I was going to bring up dogs in this, but like, they are animals that live in the moment. And I think that's why we love them so much. And do you know who said this? Eckhart Tolle. He talks about how our bond with dogs is because, not that we envy their ability to live in the moment, but we can really view that that's what they're doing. They don't care about yesterday or tomorrow. They have no awareness of their vulnerability. They just live life, second to second. So really, I'm going to live more like a dog.
Well, it's kind of like any animal. Like there was that I mentioned Yuval Noah Harari because he wrote this Sapiens book, but the thing that differentiates us from every other animal is that other animals live in a literal world. They don't attach like necessarily words to certain things. They'll just see something like food in bowl, but they won't call it that. They'll just eat it. They just need it, and they'll just it's like a natural thing. Whereas we have to, and it's the thing that kind of pushes us forward, because we attach like fiction or stories to everything. But
I got the giggles.
What?
Carry on. I got the giggles. You know that way in class when you're not allowed to laugh? I literally couldn't hold it down. Sorry, go on.
Oh, did you just realize we were live?
Yeah, and I just burst out laughing. Like if you're on a stage or something at school, it just pulls up a lot of giggles. Sorry, I was listening. Go on.
Okay. Come on, let's
I
pull
can
this
see my
together.
face going redder as well before I tried to keep it in.
Come on, get it together, Lucy.
Okay,
Come on,
get
let's
it
do it.
together.
Let's do this.
Okay.
Let's do
Okay,
this.
yeah, get it together. Sorry, go on. You were talking about animals and food and bowls. And
Yeah.
I think I got hungry. No, go on.
Yeah.
Go on.
I know. I was like rushing home earlier to try and get back so that I could eat something and then jump on this call.
I
And I was
haven't
like,
eaten yet.
oh my God.
So, but
Yeah, I was like, if I don't eat something before this, then
you'll
I'm
be
just
really
gonna.
raging on the
I'll
call.
be like, yeah, what do you want to talk about, Lucy?
Lucy.
She's
You
the
know,
least funny
just-
person I've ever met.
It would have been a different vibe, wouldn't it? Yeah, don't
And
be
then
hungry. Yeah.
because I'd had something, and I'm like, I love Lucy. She's my
I know
oldest
you're
friend.
so calm that you've had a sandwich. Anyway, yeah, food and bowls.
Yeah, but we attach like stories to everything, and it's helpful because we can be like, this is money, this is like America, this is like religion and whatever. But also, it like these levels of abstraction take us away from actual like nature and humanity and
Yeah.
like things that are real.
Yeah.
And
We attach our own narrative to everything.
yeah, and it can be overwhelming, and it can be dehumanizing in a way as well.
Yeah, because I mean, then the day goes by and you're like, what happened in that day? You're not actually taking things at face value at all. And it's so weird. It's like, have you seen Westworld?
No.
Well, the first series is really, really good. And anyway, I won't, well, no, yeah, I don't think I'll need to ruin the story,
Just
but
ruin it, go for it.
essentially it's Anthony Hopkins. He's like the main guy in it, and they've created this kind of, like amusement park, but they're AI, artificial intelligence humans,
Yep.
right? So it's really hard to tell which one's which, and people go to the amusement park to really abuse them essentially because they're AI, so they can kill them, they can have sex with them, they can do all these horrible things to them. And then there's obviously twists and turns with all that. The AI essentially turn on the humans, which is quite relevant for what's going to happen. And yeah, and there's one scene where essentially someone turns out to be AI that a human didn't even know they were AI. And Anthony Hopkins' character created this person. And he says, why would I not do this? Even the thing that was AI didn't know they were AI. And so it's like those lines. And he said, humans are flawed. We have anxiety. Like anxiety is one of the most burdening emotions, and we have that as a species. Like anxiety is quite crippling. These artificial intelligence have all the best things, but they don't have fundamental emotions that can cause suffering, and they don't have the anxiety. And that stayed with me. I watched that years ago, but I thought that was quite funny. It was like, what makes humans humans versus other species? And say when artificial intelligence does get to that point, what will decipher us and them? So it's really interesting.
Also like I sometimes think about like, who was I can't remember, I was talking to somebody about this, like why we do anything, like why do we, like, I don't know, write a book, or like, do this podcast, or whatever. Like I don't even know if this is called a podcast. It's on YouTube, so is it a video cast or a webcast? They just need a good name for this.
Ucast?
A Ucast. but like what, but ultimately like AI is never going to die. Like actually just it would go on in perpetuity. So AI, artificial intelligence.
AI.
Yeah, like it doesn't die. Like in some ways, like the thing, if humans were going to live forever, then there's something about like the reason that people do anything is because they want to have immortality, or they want to create some form of information, like a book that's going to live past them, that they can pass on to other generations. And it's that's kind of like, it's like why sometimes people build companies, because those companies can exist, like
legacy
legacy. Steve Jobs created Apple. Now Apple continues to create, and you can embed your value system into a company or a culture. that type of thing. Yeah, so I just don't think that there's some fundamental characteristics of humans like that. I don't think I don't know if computers are really gonna ever have those like desires in it in some
Mhm.
way to like have uh to live forever, for example.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I always think all this catastrophizing about like artificial intelligence is kind of like, we always find something that's gonna be the end of the world. We love catastrophizing as a species, is probably driven by our anxieties.
And our survival instinct.
Yes. So
Yeah.
like, but actually, it's just like another tool. People used to think that the computer was like evil, and now it's like, oh, it's the most friendly thing in the world.
Helpful. Yeah. Yeah. I think with anything that has power, there's good and bad, and
Yeah.
that can be said for absolutely everything. And whether you want to embrace it or not, AI is happening. It's happening now. It's not in the robot way that we expect to see it, but
Terminator or whatever.
it's in our system, it's in our tech already. But I'm embracing it because, nothing stays the same forever. And
Oh, that's
what I
amazing.
was, yeah, I think it'll be funny because we'll look back on this hopefully in 50 years or something, and this will be so out of date.
Uh-huh.
We'll have something probably that means that you could just be in this room.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Like there will be some like, you know, there. Like how out of date was is making like posting a text comment on like Facebook,
I know.
telling people your status. Like it's not out of date. People are still on Twitter, but like
Yeah,
images, videos, like the spoken word, like sound. This is where people's attention is. This is where what people are interested in. They
yeah,
don't have we don't have time now to like read through loads of words written by our friends on Facebook. So like some of that is already outdated. Also, like people that aren't sharing in the same way, like they're sharing with like their WhatsApp groups or whatnot,
yeah.
rather than like going on.
Well, look at TikTok. TikTok has kind of been a bit mind warping because it's showing us that we're actually like they're condensed videos, which shows I think that our attention span is shortening. And I
Mhm.
even know that because like say when you're looking at someone's Instagram stories, do you really watch the whole thing? No, you watch 5 seconds of it and that's across
Mhm.
the board, and we
Mhm.
just fly through so many, and
Uh-huh.
that's it. It's condensed, and we like probably up to 5 seconds is
Uh-huh.
how much attention we want to give that.
Uh-huh.
TikTok is like this new thing. It's videos. It's just so interesting to see that be the new thing. Like I do think we're moving away. Well, Facebook is becoming less relevant.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure Facebook would be able to say like the majority of the demographic of people on Facebook are the people
Older.
who
Yeah.
grew up on it. Like,
Yeah.
I like
Actually, yeah, I
us.
was talking to somebody about this as well. It's kind of like, there's a new social media platform for like every new generation, and that's because all of their friends aren't already on one,
Yeah,
because like so it's easy to like get the younger generations, whereas like all of yours and my friends are already on like Instagram, so that's where we spend our time, because it's quite a big ask to get everyone to move over to house party or
yeah,
like or whatnot.
yeah.
So it's like it's quite hard. So you just stick to what you have. But if you don't already have one, because all of your friends are just becoming teenagers or things, then you're more likely to adopt a new thing. So that might be like why people did Snapchat and then they did TikTok
Oh,
or
we got
whatnot.
to think of one because that's a
Yeah,
huge opportunity. I mean,
yeah,
there are more people all the time coming up
uh-huh,
looking for what's exciting to use. I
yeah,
mean, I think it's funny because I always think I'm tech savvy enough, tech literate enough because I'm a millennial and all of this, and
uh-huh.
how hard I found TikTok to navigate. I can only do like a couple of things, but
Yeah.
that's just an indicator for the future
You
of
also you also don't need to do what everybody else is doing. Just because everybody's dancing on it doesn't mean you need to dance. You just make stuff
Oh,
that you
you
can
could,
make.
yeah, but dancing is fun. And you know, I love a dance, Phil. So I really want to dance. I really want to learn a routine, but there's so many things I want to do and I don't have time. But some of the TikToks are amazing, like absolutely amazing. So anyway, the whole tech thing from this crisis is so fascinating. The FT said we've gone from 2020 to 2030 overnight.
Yeah, exactly.
We
People
have.
like people, it's not going to go back to, I mean, I don't know, maybe it will, like, but like, you know, office blocks are empty now. Why do people need to go and work in offices if they can do Zoom calls like all the
No,
time?
scary.
So much wasted money for the,
Yeah.
such a big cost to all these big companies.
Leaseholders. I mean, this is nuts. Because before, I mean, March really is where it all kicked off for the UK. So before March, I mean, you were in London and it's these skyscrapers, like they're building more.
Yeah.
And that has changed that overnight. And I think that is absolutely insane, that, well, there'll need to be social distancing. Maybe they'll be able to make it work. But if you think about how everyone enters into a building, a lift, how are they going to figure out a lift? It does change everything and perhaps changes priorities. Should we be investing instead in a super high-tech highway so that we're all connected via our laptops and our mobiles instead of investment in, physical infrastructure?
I know, and it's going to be so cool. But then again, there's something like sad about the fact that we can't, like, we won't come together. It was kind of like, I watched some of the guys, obviously the things have changed a bit with the founders of WeWork, but I watched some interviews with them, and they were like, it's different visions of the future. Some people imagine that we'll be having virtual reality, artificial reality meetings where it feels like you're in the room right now. I mean, it almost does in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty close, but like imagine like almost like a 3D hologram type version.
Yeah.
But we could be in different countries versus a world where everybody's living kind of together in condensed spaces in big cities, and then you're all actually physically getting together. And I don't know, like, there's something just like more, whenever I have like a physical interaction with somebody, it feels more meaningful in some way. Like I popped around and like we were like, 3 meters away from one another. Actually, like seeing somebody in person, to their face, it's kind of, it's a tricky one. But then again, there's all this stuff about like, why build these big concrete buildings? Why have people fly from one side of the US to the other just for a day's meeting? I mean, it's just like terrible for the environment, all of that type of thing. So
I think the one takeaway we can all agree on is unnecessary travel in that respect is really not required. I mean, obviously I want to go on holiday again, and I'd like to see more of the world, but I'm definitely way more aware of my carbon footprint in doing so. And it's very easy to say, oh, other people, but that completely applies to you and I. It's all about what we can do differently. And it's just, they say that, it's not about a small group of people doing it perfectly, it's about a massive group of people doing it imperfectly, and that's what we've got to do after. But I think we'll be really thirsty for human contact after this. I certainly am. I'm so excited to see my other family members and friends. And I think we'll get through it, but I do think
it's like a hug,
a hug will be so nice.
right?
I've been giving myself hugs, Yeah, don't knock it. It's quite nice. I just flew into that. And it's like, it's no awkwardness. That's how I walk around. But
in my yoga classes, they make us like massage ourselves.
I've been doing that too.
Have you ever massaged your head before?
Head feels good, neck feels good. All that. But there's only so much of that you can do before it would be nice if you can hug someone else. But we have to do what we have to do. But I am so intrigued to see how it changes life. And I think the most dramatic change has been going into lockdown. Like that was a really dramatic change, and a lot of us had to kind of mourn the old way of living.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be more of a incremental, slow process towards whatever the new normal is, that it won't be as
It's
shocking, hopefully.
I mean, it's tricky though, because like while while it seems like, oh yeah, we're all going to slow down, it's going to change everything, we're
Like
going
the
to,
opposite.
like, you know, being more connected with your family,
Mm,
like taking less meetings. Like this is also like an artificial situation that is driven predominantly by like like need right now. But as soon as there's a vaccine, the need
mm,
doesn't exist anymore, and all of the like pretty powerful forces that
mm,
drive people to take cheap flights, you
mm,
know, all of the technology that's available to just the
mm.
way that we were living. Like there's one argument that might be like, oh, this might change things dramatically, and then there's another that might just be like, oh, it's just going to pop back straight back to normal because that's convenient or easy for everybody.
I don't know. I think there's so many question marks over what will happen. I mean, the availability of a vaccine, how it gets out, the effectiveness of it, how, how many people have really sadly passed away. There's so many unknowns that we just don't know what life will look like when this has passed. I think it will pass. It might become, an illness that is just something we are aware of, and we're just kind of the first lot to have it, but it might be something our kids are used to hearing about,
Yeah.
like we're used to hearing about people suffering with the flu. So I really don't know. I think it's so interesting.
The thing I'm serious, like the thing I'm most worried about in all of this, like it's terrible how many people have died. I think it's in the mid 20,000s now,
It's
something like
28,000 this morning.
28,000. It could have been 500,000. Like
I
it's such an amazing testament to like our willingness to like take short-term sacrifice for against our own self-interest and the interests
Yeah.
of people that are more vulnerable. So it's like it's awesome that we've done it, but also it's like, have you not seen, like, this is also something that will be interesting to kind of remember when we're older having this conversation, which is like um it might seem hard for us, but at the end of the day, we live in a rich country that
Yeah.
that's like got highly rated credit rating, so you can borrow in the gilt markets, so as
Yeah.
to be able to fund all of the
Yeah.
people on furlough. So the financial effects are going to be large. There's going to be future generations are going to have to pay for this, but at the end of the day, like, we can afford to as a country.
Mm,
Like, we all live, like a large majority of people in the UK and in the US and the developed world, where this is mainly spread to,
mm,
as at today, can self-isolate. And
mm.
also, like,
No.
we have a healthcare system. Like, see if this spreads to Africa, India.
Yeah, it has. I mean,
Yeah, but like, if this goes crazy, I mean, it's already starting to pick up, but like, people can't isolate from one another and there's no
oh
healthcare
no.
system.
I read something that was from an Indian doctor saying if you can wash your hands with water, with soap, you are so blessed. If you can self isolate in a house, you are so blessed.
Mhm.
If you can connect with people via technology, you're so blessed. We are actually in the top tiny amount of people who can do that.
Yeah.
So I worry the most for the people with the least.
Mhm.
And
But it also, anytime you hear yourself complaining about
you've got to
anything,
remind yourself of that stuff.
like, you've
And
got
the
to be.
people fighting it, we're not asked to do much, sit here and have a chat. We're not out in the hospitals trying to save people's lives, or
Yeah.
in care homes. So I really hope that after this, we the praise for those heroes doesn't go away, and that they get recognized as the people that pulled us through.
It is crazy, like, also that you realize which jobs actually are
Matter.
at this point in time.
Yeah.
Like, I've always kind of thought it's like create like society. The fact that stay-at-home mums aren't paid basically but it's such a like it's basically one of the most important jobs to bring up the future generation.
Yeah.
Like, so that's an unpaid job that's like undervalued. Then you
Yeah.
get like teachers, you get NHS workers, you get everything. Like a lot of these services that are so important when something like this comes along. Like imagine all of the parents staying at home and looking after their kids right now. Like they
Yeah.
can't go into school. Then the school workers going in, all the NHS workers, like people working in shops, like me and you working from home, like you feel
We're
that
not doing anything. We're just on a keyboard. I mean, of course we're doing, like, we're helping as much as we can in the way that we know within our profession, but ultimately what is more important and valued are the people who are I kind of call it like emotional labor. Do you know what I mean? Like they have to dig into that emotional side in order to do their job that we are relying so heavily on right now for
yeah,
people to do. And it's mad. They all deserve so much more than they currently get. And I genuinely, utterly believe that. So, I mean, if this doesn't teach you that, then I don't know really what will. But
no,
it does put everything on its head a bit, because the people we are most reliant on are the people that it was minimum wage situation, but that's completely, it's challenged it, and good, to be honest. So
mhm.
hopefully that's a positive that comes from it, and we shouldn't in the future need a pandemic to remind us of that.
Yeah, it's also like weird, like situations like this that just change like yeah. It's a shame that like people um yeah, I don't know. It's usually the people that are like worst off that get hit the hardest with these types of things
Yeah, I
as
know.
well. That's the tough thing. Like even in the financial crisis, it wasn't any of the bankers that went to that were the worst hit. I
No,
mean, it was
it was
people.
the people who took out loans they couldn't afford, and then their families couldn't be fed.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, it's really hard to stomach that. And I guess the thing that we can do is be community driven and help people out and realize our blessings and use those blessings to help other people. Um,
did you not feel like during when just kind of changed tact a little bit? Did you not
yeah,
feel it was quite interesting when like as soon as the announcement was made that we went into lockdown, like you suddenly got like deluged, or not deluged, that's not the right word, but like everyone wanted to feel a sense of connection to one another, even people that you hadn't spoken to in such a long time. And all of a sudden, everyone was like, I just need to check on people I love or care about,
yeah,
and make sure they're okay.
I know, and
But
that's nice. Did you text your ex?
yeah. Oh, did you?
No.
Did he text you?
No. Which stings a little. Not gonna lie.
Awkward. We've been
But it's
talking about this
okay.
right
I
now.
think they trust that I'm fine. But did you? That's nice. But
Yeah.
I read an article. I'd been tempted, of course.
Oh, did you?
I was tempted to do it, but I didn't. But
Yeah.
um,
But like, just like, also just like, I don't know. Yeah, like we're all so busy all the time. We just think we're totally, we're not fragile. We can, we've got all the time in the world. Like nobody thinks that they're gonna die. Like everyone just forgets that,
no,
and
even
then
though we
and then
know that, that's the only certain thing in everything is that
everyone
people die.
forget. Everyone just forgets, and then they go about their business, and
I
then they
know.
never speak to people that they actually care about. And it's
No.
only the point when like suddenly you realize you're fragile and you're like desperate for like to make sure everyone.
Connection.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
weird, isn't it?
I know, but I think that's a really nice thing to come from it. I mean, I've spoken to my grandpa more than I ever have, which has been nice. Although he
Yeah.
really tries to get off the phone from me, it's hilarious. He's like, you again.
Uh,
But there's lots of positives to draw from a negative if you take yourself there. We all got to have a bit of hope.
Gotta have that hope.
Hope for the food that I'm now going to eat.
Yeah, it's 3 o'clock. Yeah, we should.
Oh, that was a quick hour.
I know, that was good. We should do another one.
Let's do another one. I bet the next one I will be not as upbeat. So it's another week, Phil.
Oh my god. When's this lockdown gonna end?
No, you should keep it up. It's a good diary of this crazy time.
Yep, exactly. All right, Lucy. Love you.
Love
Catch you later.
you. See ya. Bye.
Bye.